Hey guys, so today we have an analysis of the polls from Sunday, November 4th, and we have a lot of polls, especially for a day that's not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's a weekend, and we still have a lot of polls, but considering that we're just 2 days until we get the first projection, not necessarily too surprising. Now, I won't be making any changes to my 2018 Senate, Governor, and House map because I've already posted my final 2018 election night, and that pretty much won't change. So, if you kind of get what I mean. So, Arizona Senate race between Martha McSally and Kristen Sinema. Sinema is leading by 3 points in a Republican poll. That's something to note. Leading by 3 points is something that would be considered good in a toss-up state. But considering that it's done by the Republican group Trafalgar Group, and it only has a margin of error of 2.1%, that's pretty good news for Kristen Sinema heading into the final 48 hours, and pretty good for Kristen Sinema. You can see in the overall polling, Kristen Sinema started with a healthy lead. Then after the primaries, Martha McSally took a small lead. Then Kristen Sinema's voters came back. Then Martha McSally went into a small lead. And now Kristen Sinema seems to have gone back up, considering the 4 out of the 5 latest polls shows Sinema leading. And a Republican poll shows the Democrat leading in Arizona. That's something to note. And I'm going to keep it where it was before, once again. Now let's looking at the Florida Senate race between Rick Scott and Bill Nelson. The latest Gravis poll shows Bill Nelson leading by 3. That's better because he was leading by only 2, and Scott was even leading at one point in time. Now maybe he seems to have regained back some of his voters. Whatever it may be, Bill Nelson is in the lead again. You can see since about late September, Bill Nelson took the lead, it narrowed down, then Bill Nelson took the lead, it narrowed down a little bit, and now Bill Nelson seems to be about to be re-elected senator in about 48 hours. He'll probably be re-elected. Now, taking a look at the Michigan Senate race between Debbie Stabenow and John James, it seemed to have been narrowing down. I mean, single-digit leads for Debbie Stabenow, not the worst, not the best thing, considering that she was leading by more than double digits previously. She was leading by single digits, but now it seems to have widened out again. Stabenow leading by 17 and 13 respectively. You can see just on here, it did narrow down, but that was mostly because of John James's numbers going up. You can see in the plus 23 poll, he was only at 33%, 40%, 41%, 33%, 35%. Then all of a sudden, 42%. I don't know what happened there. 37% when Stabenow was plus 16. But then he went up to 42, 43, 46 even. Now he's back down to 36 and 41. Now, Debbie Stabenow's numbers have pretty much stayed the same. She started off at 51, now she's at 54. So pretty much staying the same, whereas John James's numbers have rapidly gone up. So that is also something to note in the Michigan Senate race. Taking a look at New Mexico between Martin Heinrich versus Mick Rich and Gary Johnson, it looks like Martin Heinrich is going to retain this one in the Democratic column, 51 to 31 to 12. Martin Heinrich, he might even win by a majority. That is something possible, but at the moment it's more likely that he'll win by a plurality, but you never know with these kind of things. In New York, between Kristen Gillibrand and Shelley Farley, a new CNN poll shows Kristen Gillibrand leading by 23%. That is not big news at all. It's going to go to the Democrats anyway. Now, let's go ahead and look at the governor's races because they hold very interesting data, especially when compared to the Senate races. So, we have a lot of governor race polls, and let's start off in the state of Florida. So, if it's going to load, I will tell you that now Bill Nelson is now more in the lead than Andrew Gillum, and that's very, very surprising for many reasons, considering Andrew Gillum's probably a better candidate, and Rick Scott's probably a better candidate than Ron DeSantis. Gillum's probably a better candidate than Nelson, but for whatever reason, it seems to be narrowing down. Gillum +2, +1, +2, +1, +1, but beforehand you could see that Gillum's numbers pretty much close with DeSantis numbers, but beforehand it was a really wide margin, but now it seems to be narrowing down again. I don't know why this has happened, but it seems to be narrowing down in favor of Ron DeSantis, but at the end of the day, you can expect this one to narrowly flip over towards Andrew Gillum and the Democrats. Next, we have a Republican poll from a Republican state that is probably an outlier because it has Kemp leading by 12 points. I don't know what happened. I think that this is definitely an outlier, especially being done by a Republican group, because every single other poll has had it within 2 points, which is also within the margin of error. And then all of a sudden, we get this poll coming out that shows Brian Kemp leading by 12. That is not believable whatsoever. You can see it was pretty much the same, and then all of a sudden, it went out. But I'm not buying that poll whatsoever. That is not believable. Brian Kemp will not win by 12 points. I'm almost sure of that. Next, we have the Michigan governor race between Gretchen Whitmer and Bill Schuett. This has narrowed down just like the Senate race. Mitchell research showing a 5-point lead for Gretchen Whitmer, and that's not as good compared to where she was earlier. I still expect this to go to the Democrats, but this is pretty surprising, to be honest. Now, going over to the New Mexico governor race between Michelle Lujan Grisham and Steve Pearce. This is leaning Democratic. I have it in the likely column. Michelle Lujan Grisham leading by 10 points. There's nothing bad about that at all, considering there's a Republican incumbent in the state. Now, looking at the New York governor race between Mark Mogliano and Andrew Cuomo. Cuomo leading by 13. That's not great news for him, but at the end of the day, it could be better or worse. It doesn't really matter what margin you win by. Now, looking at the House races, they show pretty good news overall for the Republicans in the House races. And that's pretty surprising considering Democrats are expected to take back the House. Okay. Let me go back. There we go. Sorry, this is jumping around a little bit. We'll start off with the New Mexico 1st Congressional District between Deb Haaland and Janice Arnold-Jones. Likely Democratic, the Democrat leading by 12 points. That's good news for her. Can't argue with that. Now let's go to New York 22nd and Virginia 7. Both show pretty good news for the GOP. In the 2nd district, the Republican is only leading by 1 in a Trump +10, Romney +6 district. I have this going towards Yoghi Torres Small because I feel the excitement is on her side. There's not really much excitement on Yvette Herrell's side. I have this in the tilt Democratic column, but we'll have to wait and see on election night. Now, going over to the 19th district between Antonio Delgado and John Faso. I have this narrowly going towards the Democrats in New York 19. That's something to note. New New York Times Siena poll shows the Democrat there leading by 1 point. Pretty good news. Now, in the 22nd district of New York, between Claudia Tenney and Anthony Brindisi, Tenney is now leading by 1. That's something to note since both of the previous polls have had the Democrat leading. I'm not sure exactly where I have this, but I have it within the margin of error. I think I have it in the Republican column, but I'll have to check on that one. In Virginia's 7th district, everyone knows him, Dave Bratt. He's the one who upset Eric Cantor in that upset primary in 2014. Now he's going against Abigail Spanberger, and I believe that Spanberger will win, but it is good news for Dave Bratt that he is in the lead by 2 points. However, something to note is that there are still a lot of undecided voters just 2 days before the election. That's something to note, because Dave Bratt and Abigail Spanberger, I wonder what one has more Republican, where there's more Republican voters. I'm going to bet on Spanberger's side because Dave Bratt is very conservative. This isn't a very conservative district, like, it's not really that conservative, so I still think this will go to Spanberger at the end of the day. Going into President Trump job approval 2018 generic congressional ballot and direction of the country, we have a new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll. Trump underwater by 6. That's something to the best he's gotten, except for Rasmussen. 46% approval rating is pretty much the best that he's ever gotten. Pretty good news for him. In ABC News Washington Post, they put his approval rating at 44. Not as good, but still pretty good news considering he was like in the high 30s, and that's not great heading into an election. And then underwater by 13 by IBDTIPP. I would say this is probably a little bit underestimating the president, considering that the average is 43.9, a bit of underestimation there. Now, in the 2018 generic congressional vote, NBC News Washington's Wall Street Journal, has the Democrats up 7, and then ABC News has it up 8, and then the IBD has it up 9. All good news for the Democrats. In each one of those polls, they're above 50%. So that's something else to note. And then for the direction of the country, underwater by 16 according to NBC News. That's not great heading into election, but it's always pretty much bad because the people who are against the party in power always say it's on the wrong track, and they're probably in the majority. So thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I'll see you all in the next one. I'm not just going to end this video normally because we are just something like 47 hours away from the first projection. By the time this video goes up, it'll be even less than that. It'll probably be something like 35 hours, so the polling's going to be coming in very rapidly. And yeah, this will be the only video today because tomorrow there's going to be 4 or 5 videos that I've all scheduled now. So thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.